Welcome to Be Blessed to Outreach Ministries, Restoring Hope virtual um, fundraiser. This is our first virtual fundraiser, and I am Minister Doretha Reed, and we are a 5013C, and our mission is to help those that are experiencing homelessness improve their life circumstances. But I have the honor and the privilege of introducing our special guest with you this evening. He graduated from Central State University, majoring in sociology. He also spent 20 years in helping the youth at risk. He also transitioned his position in later years over to helping those women and men that was experiencing addictions to into a recovery program, if I'm correct. Um, but currently, he is positioning at community. Um, I'm sorry, the Community Mediation Service um, of Columbus, which helps those that are disputing their evictions or trying to get stabilized in their housing position. But at this time, I would like to present Marcus J. Salters. Thank you for coming.
Uh, Thank you for having me, Minister Doretha Reed. I just appreciate this opportunity to be here to share in this event. I think this is my second year in a row, and I'm just glad to be here.
Yes, I am happy to have you. As you already mentioned, this is your second year because you was one of our keynote speakers on last year, and it was a privilege. It's a privilege and an honor to have you here again. So we thank God for that.
Thank
We
you.
hope that whatever you learned from last year, that you can bring us some insight, and especially what's going on today and with the housing crisis within Columbus area. So, how has Be Blessed Too had an impact within the community? If you can share any information of how that is correlating with your um, Columbus community mediation. I do apologize.
Okay, no problem. So, I mean, I learned a lot last year being part of this and learned a lot about the work that you and your team at Be Blessed Too, what you are doing to keep people off the streets, keep people in housing. One of the things that, we know that is happening here in our city and across the country is that we have I always want to say there's a threefold crisis that's going on. So we have a lack of affordable housing crisis, we have an eviction crisis, and we also have a homeless crisis, and they're all related. I like to say they're cousins. So one of the things that we want to address, our approach at Community Mediation Services, is to educate the community on, how to stay in your housing, how to avoid eviction, how to interact with your landlord appropriately, and tapping into some resources that are available here in Franklin County. One thing I do want to give Franklin County their kudos. They have made funding available for people who are experiencing homelessness or avoiding homelessness. And one of the things that's one of our biggest things that we want to see people stay in their housing. And if they're not housed, we want to find a way who to link them to, get them housed. And so we appreciate the work that Be Blessed Too, what you are doing, because we know that we have a large problem with homelessness here in our city, and so we know that not one agency can solve it, not one entity has the answer to what's going on here in our city. So we appreciate the sometimes those smaller organizations are the ones who actually make the biggest impact. Being, as they say, the boots on the ground, being that agency that is able to meet those individuals where they are and get them home, get them housed, or just simply providing whether it be a hot meal or a warm pair of socks. And those are the kind of things that you do that we appreciate.
Okay, thank you for that. I do have a question for you. One of the questions is, what is the average rent that's going now? Because I know that is also contributing to the housing crisis.
Yes, it is. So, we look at a lot of numbers, we crunch numbers, we look kind of what's going on here in our city and across the country. But we know right now in Franklin County the average one bedroom is $771. It's on average about over $700. So we talk about, it's so funny when I hear people talk about the affordable housing, and I always say, what's affordable? Because I shop at Aldi's and I may not be able to shop at Kroger's, right? So Kroger's may be affordable for you, but I'm an Aldi's kind of guy. So that's where we're talking about, with an average $700 a month, and we encounter individuals who may have two or three children in the household. So we know trying to find housing that they can afford is an issue here in our city. We know we see some of the big development going up around our city. Columbus is the housing market for Columbus is changing. So we want to, and the average person that we serve, we know that price range is a little bit, beyond what they can afford. So we want to be able to find landlords or me, myself personally, I'm always on the, when they're talking about building this and building that, we want to make sure that they're also having some rates that our individuals can afford to move into.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome because that's what some of the things that we as Be Blessed too, we try to fill that gap with our transitional program. So thank
Right.
you for that information. It's
Hmm.
very, very helpful. So explain how your services at community mediation can help and bridge with Be Blessed to outreach ministries.
Okay. So, at mediation services, our approach is we want to educate. So we have a double fold kind of approach to housing. So we have mediators who are at court Monday through Friday. And a lot of people don't know the eviction court right now is taking place at the Columbus Convention Center. So that in itself is a little bit different from how we've been operating in the past. But so we want to look at, addressing that eviction at eviction court. But our ultimate goal is for that eviction to not even be filed. So what we try to do is one of my roles is resource development, community contact. So where I can see Be Blessed too working with mediation services, when you encounter someone living on the land or maybe in a housing that they're on the verge of facing an eviction, we have a saying that early intervention is the best. So we realize that we want to get people connected to resources as quick as possible to stay in that housing. We want that person to avoid eviction. We want that landlord to receive payment, and we don't want to see people homeless. We go into the area homeless shelters really prior to the COVID, but we would go in and do workshops. But one of the things I really see is that where because your program, your team, you all are out there in the community, so you see all types of individuals who may need various services. So we also deal with landlord tenant conflict as our main thing, but we also focus on neighborhood disputes, workplace conflict, and family kind of in-house conflict. So you may encounter someone who's in a situation where they're living in a place where the landlord may not be addressing maintenance issues, or someone is facing eviction. So we can get that person connected to some resources quickly. So you provide them our information, they call us, we get involved. There's a saying that I always use. I always say that Columbus is resource rich, but we're connection poor. So we need to quickly assess the situation, figure out what the need is, get that person connected, and hopefully stabilize their housing. Because for me, it's all about housing stabilization.
And I agree with that. It is about housing stabilization. But what happens when it's after the fact? So we at Be Blessed too often get those that already have the eviction on them. So
Hmm.
now they are in our program, but now they can't afford to move forward. So what kind of program is available to them?
Well, I think that that particular individual, they could still work with mediation. There are a lot of programs out here who they work on financial literacy. They work on reestablishing your credit. What we try to do, say you encounter someone who already has that eviction, and they are able to link with us, and we can then put them in position to work out still some type of payment arrangement, whether it's just $50 a month. something small that they can pay towards their debt to their current to their past landlord, and really we want to resolve that issue because that pending balance isn't going anywhere. So we want to be able to help that person establish what we call a payment arrangement. There's two types of payment arrangements that we do, but this payment arrangement I'm referring to is really you're just paying off your landlord, and we like to try to do it before it gets to a credit reporting bureau. Because we know that again that's a strike against your record. Even the eviction filing, that's why we put so hard to get involved before that eviction is filed, because again we know that a recent eviction filing can be detrimental to a person's record. But even though we see people all the time who may have 2 and 3 evictions, and here's the other piece that I think is so important. A lot of residents that we encounter, they think they may have 2 or 3 evictions, and we are able to go on what's called FABCO. We can contact FABCO. We can go onto the Franklin County Clerk of Court's website, and we are able to look and actually see if that person truly does have an eviction. Because a lot of times I encounter people daily who say, I think I have 3 evictions, or I think I have 2. And we
Okay.
look in the system, and that person may only have 1, or in some cases they have 0. Now they may have received 3-day notices. They may have received a notice to leave the premises, but and again, that goes to that education piece. So we can talk to them and educate them on what these notices you received in the past and how it may or may not have led to an eviction. So, we feel once that eviction is already filed and the person is kind of struggling now to get back on their feet, we're able to still, in some cases, link them to some private landlords, right? So a private landlord is willing to work with that individual, especially if that person has income and maybe they've only had that 1 eviction. A private landlord, some of the ones in our database and the ones we work with, those individuals in some cases are able to get back on their feet with the opportunity, because we talk to the landlords about providing opportunities, and we know that it's a business, but we still want to let people know that there's people in our community who's struggling. You have the property, they have the need, so let's merge that. Let's merge those two.
That is some valuable information because people are unaware of what's out there. A lot of
Yes,
times they just take, okay, as you mentioned, that they have 3 evictions and then they feel like they don't have any hope.
right.
So that's very challenging for those that are experiencing homelessness. So how do you see the partnership of with Be Blessed Too mission in helping those that are experiencing homeless, improving their life circumstances? How do you see that partnership working? Because our goal is to help them be
Yeah.
to
Well, I
improve their
mean, just
situation.
simply, you and your team, the what I've seen, the Be Blessed Two team, there's a sense of compassion and caring. So a lot of times, some of the individuals that you encounter who may be living on the land, who are homeless, they feel like they're no longer part of, right. So
Okay.
what I feel that you all do so well is you make individuals feel a part of, and you care and you show them like there's the name raising hope, right. So there is still hope that you can be successful, you can get rehoused. And then here's a piece that I always want to talk about is, what does housing look like for you, right? Because we have a lot of different housing programs and different things out there, but a person, we need to work with the individual to determine what type of housing works for them, whether that's a studio efficiency. There's even some conversation that the Columbus Coalition for the Homeless, they're looking at doing some tiny homes, developing those. So there's going to be some new trends. One thing I can say about this whole COVID situation, that the COVID situation has forced a lot of individuals to think outside the box, especially when it comes to housing, because we can get into the whole racial disparity around housing and all that, but I'm not going to go there tonight. But we definitely can go there. But we also have to understand that housing is more than just putting a roof over someone's head. There's so much that consists of housing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you for that valuable information. Because even with our transitional mobile homes, that's another trend
Yes.
that
Right.
has that we have been very fortunate in having and establishing.
Right.
And thank you, brother Marcus. We just really appreciate you coming out and sharing this information. I pray that people that heard your information will take that and understand that we can help restore hope
Yes.
with the community mediation department, as well as Be Blessed too, because our goal is to restoring hope. Our goal is
Absolutely.
actually to reach 10,000, to raise $10,000 so that we can continue to purchase more mobile homes that
Wow.
we'll be able to house those that are experiencing convictions or evictions and
Yes.
not being a part of living and not living on the land. We want to make
Exactly.
those change, that positive change in their lives. So
All
we
right.
appreciate you coming aboard, and we
Thank
thank
you.
you again for all that you've done. And if those that are watching us live, I pray that you would donate. We need your help. We can't do this alone. This is a team. It's not about one person, it's about many people. So
Absolutely.
please donate. Our Cash App is going across the screen, the bottom of the screen, as well as our website is www.beblessed2 number 2 outreach.com. Please be please visit our website, and thank you for all your help. And Brother Marcus, we thank you for your insight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.